Welcome to Beit Yahweh again. We were just dealing with some of the lies and errors of Richard Dawkins in The Selfish Gene regarding his comment trying to undermine the authority and the truth of the scripture and the prophecy regarding the Virgin Mary and the birth of Jesus. He says this on page 270 in his footnote. Behold, a virgin shall conceive. Several distressed correspondents have queried the mistranslation of young woman into virgin in the biblical prophecy, which we've already established is not a mistranslation, but we're just going to confirm this one more time, and have demanded a reply from me. Hurting religious sensibilities is a perilous business these days, so I had better oblige. Actually, it is a pleasure, for scientists can't often get satisfyingly dusty in the library, indulging in a real academic footnote. The point is, in fact, well known to biblical scholars. Which biblical scholars, please? And not disputed by them. Not disputed by who? The Hebrew word in Isaiah is alma, which undisputably means young woman with no implication of virginity. Nonsense. It can mean young woman, whether virgin or not. It, virgin, had been intended, betula, could have been used instead. The ambiguous English word maiden illustrates how easy it can be to slide between the two meanings. The mutation occurred when the pre-Christian Greek translation known as the Septuagint rendered alma into Parthenos, which really does usually mean virgin. Matthew, not of course the apostle, and we'll forget that because he's using his usual non-critical sense. Matthew quoted Isaiah in what seems to be a derivative of the Septuagint version. All but two of the 15 Greek words are identical. When he said, now all this was done, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord, by the prophet, saying, behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son. They shall call his name Emmanuel, authorized English translation. It is widely accepted among Christian scholars that the story of the virgin birth of Jesus was a late interpolation, whatever, put in presumably by Greek-speaking disciples in order that the mistranslated, which he thinks, prophecy should be seen to be fulfilled. Modern versions such as the New English Bible correctly give young woman in Isaiah, they equally correctly leave virgin in Matthew, since there are translations from the Greek. So, he thinks that betula refers to virgin and alma refers to young woman. And we've already shown you that betula can mean young woman or virgin, and alma can mean young woman or virgin. And Parthenos can mean young woman or virgin. In other words, there's absolutely no mistranslation here whatsoever. Now, we're going to look at a Jewish source. We've already looked at some other sources. We're going to look at the Jewish Encyclopedia Judaica, and the concept of virginity. Okay? Terminology. The biblical betula, usually rendered virgin, is in fact an ambiguous term which in non-legal context may denote an age of life rather than a physical state. So we discover that betula is also young woman. Cognate Akkadian batultu, masculine batulu, and Ugaritic bult refer to an adolescent nubile girl. That the woman who is so called need not necessarily be a Virgo intacta is shown by the graphic account in an Ugaritic myth of the sexual relations of Baal and the goddess Anat, who bears the honorific epithet Bete Elti. Moreover, in an Aramaic incantation text from Nippur, there is a reference to Betulta, who is pregnant but cannot bear. Montgomery. The male counterpart to Betula in the Bible is often Bahur, the young man, and Amos 8:13, where a Betula bemoans for her bridegroom, Joel 1:8. We already looked at that. And the word Betula, now notice that she minds for her bridegroom, she's married. And the word Betula interchanges with somewhat synonymous age term, Alma. Notice that Betula interchanges with Alma. Therefore, you can translate both by Parthenos. Wake up, Dawkins. Which also describes a young woman. Thus, in Genesis 24:16, 43, Rebecca is first called Betula and then an Alma. Exactly the same interchange of the two words appears in Ugaritic text. Alma, despite a 2 millennium misunderstanding of Isaiah 7:14, behold, a young woman, LXX Parthenos, virgin, shall conceive and bear a son, indicates nothing concerning the chastity of the woman in question. Now, they are actually trying to criticize the Christian faith also, but that's okay, because what we're establishing here is that Betula and Alma are the synonyms, which means you can translate them both Parthenos. The only way that the term virgin can be unambiguously expressed is in the negative. Thus, Sumerian and Akkadian undeflowered, and Akkadian not experienced, unopened, and who has not known a male. The description of Rebecca, Genesis 24:16, who is first called a Betula, a young woman, and then whom no man has known, compared Judges 21:12, is similar. In legal context, however, Betula denotes a virgin. Notice that in legal context, not in all contexts, denotes a virgin in the strict sense, as does Batutu in certain Akkadian legal texts. Okay, so we see that Betula and Alma are actually interchangeable, which means obviously it's not a mistranslation to translate Alma Parthenos or to translate Betula Parthenos. And this being established, Dawkins is talking nonsense as usual when it comes to talking about God. Now, if Dawkins can be wrong in respect to a simple translation of a Greek word, a Hebrew word into two Greek words, or two Hebrew words into Greek, can he not be wrong, completely and utterly wrong, in his idea that he thinks that he can talk about God? Like, for example, he confuses the complexity of the beginning of creation with the complexity of the Godhead. The Godhead is simple, according to Christian philosophy, not complex. It's simple in the greatest sense of the word. So, we affirm that Betula and Alma can be translated Parthenos, and there is no mistranslation. The script, they also say that in order to affirm that a person is actually a virgin, we do it in the negative, and that's exactly what Mary did in the prophecy's fulfillment. She said, how can these things be, seeing I have not known a man? And in another place it says she did not come together with Joseph until, or Joseph did not come together with her until she had borne the child Jesus. So the Matthew understanding of the prophecy of Isaiah is an interpretation of a word which is Alma in the particular context, which could mean a young woman, usually who is unmarried, and therefore in those days virgin. And as I said to you already, out of the few times this word is used in the Old Testament, 9 out of 10 of those usages refer to a virgin. It's describing a person who 90% likely is a virgin. Now, you might wonder, okay, how do we know? What about some observation? Richard Dawkins hasn't given us any observation. Can you do better? Can you observe some of these facts which you have been asserting for us? Well, what I will do is, I will try and find that word. When I found that word, I will give you the references where you can find it. So may Yahweh grant you salvation. I know you already heard this, but now you just got it from another authority, the Encyclopedia Judaica, a pretty academic encyclopedia, and not a Christian encyclopedia.